Okay, Chapter 1, Issues and Trends in Pediatric Nursing. Just as a sideline, disclosure statement, I don't own this material. Under fair use, I'm providing lecture content for only my nursing students using this material. All content within is only for educational purposes for nursing students and does not provide medical advice. So getting started, oh gosh, welcome to pediatric nursing. A really rewarding part of nursing and a really challenging part of nursing as well. So the learning objectives of this chapter listed on the slide and listed in the book. A good study technique to use is to take the learning objectives, put them on a Word document, and go through each one and be able to explain and answer to another person the exact things that are on this outline. So let's go through that. Introduction. So pediatric nursing goes from birth till 21. So I know this slide says adolescence, but it's actually until adulthood or 21 years of age. Most people will, around 18, go to college and find their own female doctors that they care about, wanting to make a relationship with for the long term. But they will take care of you up to 21. Nursing care for children versus nursing care for adults, very, very different. We have a lot to do with developmental tasks, milestones, things like that adults do not need to go through. Adults' lifespans are wide open in years versus months, like a baby's. And just the role of a pediatric nurse has been changing over time. In the first beginning, it was more like a nanny, where the parents would drop the patient off at the hospital and leave. Now it's more so of a family matter. So the history of pediatric nursing, 1855, the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania started. It was common in the practice of infant and child care in early hospitals. And that developed the field of pediatric nursing, and it advanced practice rules from the basic nursing care that was provided in those areas. So you know that there's multiple pediatric hospitals here in Tampa, Florida. There's Nemours, there's University of Miami, there's Johns Hopkins, there's St. Joe's, there's several different pediatric hospitals. One of the best being All Children's, of course. They do a lot of miracle surgeries there. So things that are changing in the world that change pediatric care, just the racial makeup of kids today. Demographics of the pediatric population are changing, more illnesses, more chronic diseases based on ethnic and cultural backgrounds. So we're seeing a lot more sickle cell crisis, things like that you don't really get to see as much in most rural areas. It's getting bigger and bigger. So the need for specialized care. And the projection from the demographics of the U.S. pediatric population is in your books, but pretty much every non-white population is increasing over time. Half of children age 0 to 17 are white, non-Hispanic. The Hispanic population increased. The African American did not increase. Asian did not increase. Non-Hispanic increased. American Indian did not increase. And Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander did increase. So there's a lot of children of color that are disproportionately represented by the children's welfare system as well. So those are known to have poorer outcomes from the social determinants of health. So those are the kids that we worry about. There are different models of care in pediatric nursing, more so being family-centered. In the first days, we used to be the only caretaker for those kids. In some situations, we still are, but most of the models of care in pediatric nursing are going to be family-centered. Relationship-based care, because when you have a relationship with those people, they will bring their child back to you over and over again. And that leads into a pediatric medical home and the importance of their family in their life. It's never going to be just teach the child. It's always going to be teach the family, because the family is helping with the care of that child, and it may be grandmother, great-grandmother, extended family. So which of the following is not a core concept of the family-centered care model? Dignity and respect for the child and the family, referral from primary care to community services, information sharing with the family, and family participation in care. So if you look in the book, this is very, very real. There is lots of dignity and respect for the child and the family, that member being together. There's a lot of information sharing and a lot of family participation in care planning and provision of care. So it's obviously B we got to get rid of, because there's not going to be a referral from a primary care doctor. The pediatric provider is their main doctor. So some of the roles of pediatric nurse, there are critical roles in pediatric nursing where it's ER, OR, ICU, multiple areas around the hospital will be just made a pediatric hospital potentially. Pediatric nurses get additional training and certification as well. So there's always continual education. Pediatric nurses work everywhere: schools, offices, doctor's offices, PT, physical therapy, the whole realm of pediatrics. So there's not one place that you find them. So some current issues in pediatric nursing: just like all other nursing, there is an expected nurses shortage, and that's making it hard to get new nurses into pediatrics, because everybody wants to be in the ICU or CVICU. But there is a CVICU at Johns Hopkins, and Johns Hopkins does take BSNs over ADNs any day. So I would urge you to look into Johns Hopkins and other children's hospitals around if that is your goal in the end. Research projects are becoming bigger and bigger, because now kids can give us consent. And if the parents want them in a research study, they can actually say no, up to the age of 7. So we're getting a lot more research projects out. Instead of adult research telling us what to do with kids, there's now a lot of more research going on with kids in those studies. Continuity of care is huge. So you see this baby as a little guy in the NICU, and you're continually going to take care of them until they're 21. So communication is huge with those family members. You don't want them to leave. You want them to get more care for the best of the child. Communication, huge. Special issues with developmental delays. Health education, there is a ton of money in health education. A lot of education around prevention, disease prevention, obesity, definitely one of the higher risk areas. Healthcare costs are increasing, obviously. Obesity, diabetes, those kind of things are where we are with pediatrics at the forefront. There's also obvious other trends, the obesity rate being so large everywhere. The more that you hear 3-2-1, 3 hours of TV a day, 2 sugary drinks, 1 hour of activity a day, play 60, things like that have come out around the obesity issue. And now we have even more lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth that are entering the system. So we need to be able to talk with them, lead them through their transition surgeries, and be able to care for them appropriately. Which of the following is not a trend in pediatric nursing? Increased usage of blood conservation, increased admission based on the lack of primary care access, increased incorporation of families in the overall care of children, or decreased incidence of adolescent obesity. Okay, so if you were listening at all, I didn't say anything about blood conservation. We're not really conserving blood. Kids don't need that much blood, right? But there is an increased admission based on the lack of primary care access. A lot of places do not have primary care access for pediatrics. Pediatric hospitals are very specialized, and a lot of nursing students don't even have access to them. So definitely a specialty. So I'm going to go ahead and choose A. Hold on, what? Oh, not a trend. Okay. Decreased incidence, definitely not increased incidence of obesity, right? For sure. So decreased use of blood conservation. So just double check that you're reading that correctly. So not a decrease in obesity. Trends in pediatric nursing education, keeping pace with all the new initiatives that are out there, multicultural care, growth and development concepts, the experience and the range of settings. There's just so many settings that you can go into. When you're in pediatrics, you never really know where you're going to be. In the end, you could be in an acute care hospital, a small clinic. There's definitely more focus on health promotion and disease prevention. The sooner that we do that, the better. And also trauma-informed protocol. So we know that trauma that kids sustain early in life can actually make them worse off for developing a wide range of things such as suicide, heart disease, diabetes, and things like that. So we definitely look for trauma-informed care as much as possible, not re-traumatizing them. Focus on the community-based nursing education. A lot of nursing education going out in schools, in the elementary schools, things like that. And education is being supplemented now more than ever with simulation. The more simulation we can do in the hospital route, the more able we are to take care of these kids at the smaller hospitals. We do a lot of teleconferencing too. Telehealth is huge in pediatrics. I know in Montana, that's what we did with Colorado. In order to get those kids down to Colorado to be seen, we would use a lot of telehealth, which saved the parents money and cost of going all the way down there. So we had a lot of fly-in doctors as well from all over Seattle and everywhere. But we would also transport those kids to the areas that they needed to go to get care. Some trends in pediatric nursing research, pharmaceutical research, huge Pediatric Research Equity Act, having more pediatrics in there, and the Medical Safety Device Act, definitely one of the improvements that we've seen, being aware of when patient equipment is going awry to definitely speak up and put that equipment out of order. There are a lot more resources for pediatric health data and resources for evidence-based practice in pediatrics as well. So a lot more nursing students and a lot more nursing personnel in pediatrics means that we have more research potential out there. So in summary, in this chapter, we covered an overview and brief history of pediatric nursing, the racial makeup of children in America that comprise the pediatric population, the models of care and the roles of pediatric nurses, issues and trends in pediatric nursing, and important resources. Thanks.